apocalypse, more like my house, my rules. The world had descended into chaos. It felt like the end was nigh, with cities burning and buildings collapsing into ashes. The streets were empty, save for a few desperate souls trying to survive. On a flickering TV screen, the news anchor's frantic voice echoed through the quiet apartment. "Breaking news," the voice trembled. "The largest group of infected has appeared." As the camera panned over the destruction, soldiers were seen battling unseen enemies, gunfire reverberating through the air. The news continued, detailing the economic collapse, the desperate fights for food, and the increasing fear in every corner of the globe. But the cause of it all wasn't a disaster brought on by humans themselves. No, it was far worse. It was monsters, game-like creatures, appearing in the heart of every city. With monsters rampaging through the streets, the world seemed to be losing its battle for survival. Humanity had pinned its hopes on the metahumans, those with strange abilities, thinking that they might be able to stop the apocalypse. But reality was far more complicated than the novels. The metahumans, powerful as they were, weren't nearly strong enough to wipe out the monsters or end the world's suffering. It was clear, humanity was on its own. 3 days after the world began to collapse, a lone figure sat in the midst of his apartment, the silence only broken by the crunching of chips and the soft hum of his fridge. He stared at his phone, a faint smile playing across his face as he thought, "Yes, the world hasn't ended yet. I'm still here, living just fine." But there was a bitter truth behind those words. He was alone, the only one left in a 100-square-meter apartment that had once been a symbol of his family's hard work. It wasn't always like this. He remembered how his parents, his grandparents, had all been a part of the dream when they bought this place. They'd borrowed 200 million won from the bank, plus another 200 million from their personal assets to make it possible. The idea was simple. Live here for 2 years, enjoy the tax benefits, and then life would be easier. But now, the world had fallen apart, and he was locked inside this apartment, isolated and trapped, with nothing but the ability to survive. He sighed, tapping his phone screen in frustration. "Damn it," he muttered, watching the message appear. "Poor network connection. Please reconnect." His connection to the outside world was broken, as if the universe was telling him that his life, like the world outside, was slowly disconnecting from reality. And then came the roar. It shattered the silence, a sound so terrifying that it almost made his heart stop. What was that? He thought, his body stiffening. He turned to the window, and that's when he saw it. A massive, winged creature flying toward his apartment, its mouth open, filled with sharp teeth and writhing tentacles. It was as if the nightmare had come to life, and it was headed straight for him. His breath caught in his throat, and fear surged through him. "Oh no!" he shouted, stumbling back, his heart racing. But then, just as the creature neared the window, something unexpected happened. A blue screen appeared before his eyes, and it sent a strange calm through him. It wasn't an app or a notification, but something far more surreal. Ultimate shut-in. House declaration. Passive. Levan 1. No one can enter the house without the ruler's permission. The creature, now just inches away from the window, screeched as it tried to break through. But it couldn't. There was an invisible force stopping it, a protective barrier that kept the monster at bay. The man breathed a sigh of relief, leaning against the wall as the tension in his body eased. "Okay, I'm safe, for now," he whispered to himself, shaking his head in disbelief. He stood there for a moment, just staring at the blue screen, realizing that this was no ordinary situation. The ability he had, this mysterious power, was the reason he was still alive. But it also meant that he was stuck here. He couldn't leave, couldn't go outside, even if he wanted to. And he sure didn't want to. His frustration grew as he pounded his fist on the door, trying to get it to open. "Why won't it open?" he muttered angrily, but the door stayed locked, as if mocking him. This strange ability that protected him from monsters also trapped him in his own home. 3 days had passed since the world began to collapse, and now he was paying the price. As he sat in the darkness, staring at the blue screen, another notification appeared. The ultimate shut-in cannot leave the house. He groaned, rubbing his forehead. The ultimate shut-in, huh? What a joke. The name alone was enough to make him feel like a prisoner in his own home. But he had no choice. He was stuck. The reality of survival set in. His food supply was running low, and his fridge had lost power the previous day. What little he had left were side dishes his mom had packed for him before the apocalypse, but they wouldn't last long. He stared at the empty fridge, biting his nails in worry. All I have left are some packets of ramyun. Just then, the blue screen flashed again, but this time, it wasn't just an update about his inability to leave the house. You've hunted a Calican, Levier 23. You've gained experience. He blinked in confusion, staring at the screen. Did I kill it? He stepped over to the balcony and looked out. The large creature that had attacked earlier was now lying dead on the ground, surrounded by goblins who were feasting on its remains. He was speechless. Did I really end up hunting it? By just surviving? The blue screen appeared again, and this time, it was different. Loot calculated. 2.203 million won has been deposited into your wallet. What the hell is this? He muttered in disbelief. Money? From the monster? And then, to his surprise, the lights in his apartment flickered back on. He rushed to check the fridge, working. The tap, flowing with water. The induction stove, fully operational. Everything that had been dead just moments before was now alive again. No way! Is this really happening? His voice was filled with excitement and relief. It's like everything went back to normal, just like before the world ended. But as he tried his phone again, the same message popped up. Poor network connection. Great, he muttered in frustration. The one thing that could have connected him to the outside world was still broken. But then something caught his eye, a flash drive lying on the floor. He picked it up, inserted it into his computer, and watched as old family photos appeared on the screen. There was a picture of his mom holding his hand when he was a baby, another of his parents at his birthday party. It felt like a lifetime ago. He felt a pang of longing. I need to find them. I need to bring my family here. No matter what. His voice grew determined. The blue screen flashed once more. Ultimate shut-in. Store Love 1 unlocked. You can now buy items at original prices. He stared at the list of available items. A store? His mind raced with possibilities. What can I buy? And how do I get out of this mess? The chapter ended. And as he stood there with new hope in his heart, he knew one thing for sure. Whatever it took, he was going to survive. And he would find his family.